You ever get that feeling, that tight, heavy kind of dread in your chest when you pull up to the one place that's supposed to be your escape, your peace, and instead, you see someone parked smack in the middle of it like they own the joint? That was me, standing in the early morning fog, coffee still warm in my hand, staring at this sparkling silver SUV that didn't belong there. Not in my driveway, not at my lake cabin, not in the one corner of the world I built with my own damn hands just to get away from people exactly like her. My name's Cole Rollins. I'm 36, and I live about 2 hours outside Charleston, West Virginia. I work with my hands, metalwork, carpentry, whatever needs building or fixing, and I don't do drama. Don't do confrontation if I can help it. But this woman made sure I didn't have a choice. Her name's Meredith Klein, but folks around here started calling her HOA Barbie. She moved into the cabin next to mine 6 months ago. Drove this spotless Escalade that always looked freshly waxed, even when it rained. Her hair never moved. Her smile never reached her eyes. And her voice? It had that tone that said, I don't ask, I tell. At first, it was small things. She'd park a little too close to my truck when I was unloading gear. Then she started leaving her SUV halfway into my driveway while she checked the mail, which apparently involved 30 minutes of standing around in yoga pants, chatting on the phone, sipping wine out of a glitter cup like she was in some Hallmark version of suburban warfare. Now look, I built that lake cabin myself. After my divorce, after my business almost went under. Every beam, every screw, every board was me rebuilding not just a home, but my damn sanity. So when someone disrespects that space, it hits different. And Meredith? She wasn't just disrespecting it, she was claiming it, like I didn't matter. The final straw came on a Saturday morning in May. I had a fishing trip planned, one I'd been looking forward to for weeks. I walked out with my kayak in tow, only to find that Escalade blocking both the driveway and the access path to the lake. No note, no apology, just entitlement on 4 wheels. Gleaming like a slap to the face. I looked up. There she was, leaning on her railing with a mimosa, watching me struggle to back up the kayak cart, and smirking like she was watching a sitcom. I called up, Hey, can you move your car? She didn't even blink, just waved lazily and said, Just give me a sec, hon. I'm finishing my call. That hon hit harder than any insult I'd heard in a bar fight. I stood there, fishless, plan ruined, heart thumping out of rhythm, and I realized this wasn't going to stop. Because people like her, they don't stop until someone makes them. I tried every peaceful option first. Emailed the HOA, no response. Left notes, got laughed at. Even tried talking to her like an adult. Meredith, I need you to stop parking in my space. It's private property. She tilted her head and smiled like I was a toddler mispronouncing helicopter. Oh, Cole, don't be so territorial. We're neighbors. Sharing is caring. You know what I learned that week? When someone's filming you through your own window with their phone, smiling like they've already written the narrative, you'd better believe they're not sharing. They're conquering. Turns out, Meredith had a history. I overheard this older guy at the marina saying she got kicked out of her last neighborhood in Georgia for stalking her neighbors and trying to get them fined for things like inconsistent mailbox alignment. No joke. She ran the HOA there and treated it like a throne. That's when the pieces started clicking together. The reason my neighbors had been acting strange lately, avoiding eye contact. Cutting conversation short, Meredith had poisoned the well. She told them I was unstable, that I'd threatened her, that I was a DIY extremist with a workshop full of weapons. She made me out to be the bad guy, and they bought it. And that was the moment I stopped waiting for someone to save me. See, I'm not just a welder by trade, I'm an artist. I build things that last. And if Meredith wanted to mess with someone who speaks through steel and precision, well, she was about to find out what that really meant. So I got to work. Quietly. Methodically. Started by reinforcing my own garage door, just in case she decided to escalate. Then I began measuring her cabin. Not suspiciously, just little walks at dusk with a notepad, like I was birdwatching. In truth, I was planning what I called Project Lockjaw. The idea? Seal her in. Weld every window and door with industrial-grade steel panels. Fitted perfectly to avoid damage but strong enough to hold. Not vandalism, art. Not destruction, consequences. Took me about 2 weeks to gather everything. I told the local supply shop I was working on an installation for a modern art show. They didn't ask questions. I installed micro cameras in the bushes, on trees, just for security, of course. Then, one perfect Tuesday night, when the clouds hung low and the frogs were loud, I struck. Started with the back of her cabin. Silent, efficient. Cut, measure, weld. Her bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, all sealed. She never stirred. I moved to the front last, where her beloved Escalade sat gleaming like a chrome fortress. I took extra care there, welding the front door with overlapping seams and etching a little message into the panel. Private means private. I stood back and admired the work. It wasn't revenge, it was structure, boundaries, architecture of accountability. Then I packed up my truck and drove off for a 10-day camping trip in Monongahela National Forest. No signal, no guilt, just pine trees, trout, and silence. But I did bring my laptop, and that's where it got interesting. On day 2, I checked the feed. Meredith hadn't emerged. The SUV was still there. Curtains closed. Lights off. Then around midday, I saw a flashlight flicker through the steel panel seams. She was trying to signal for help. Day 3, she started yelling. Muffled, hoarse, desperate, thumping against the steel. I muted the feed and watched the sunset. By day 4, the neighbors noticed. Ms. Langley from 3 doors down walked over and tilted her head like she was trying to understand a modern sculpture. Then she heard the banging. Next thing you know, cops, fire trucks, HOA reps, all on scene. It took them hours to figure out how to cut through the panels without damaging the structure. Meanwhile, Meredith's screams got louder. The irony? Her own SUV was still blocking the rescue path. When they finally got her out, she looked like a ghost. Hair wild, face pale, eyes sunken. The woman who once smiled smugly while sipping mimosas now clung to a paramedic's arm like a storm survivor. And right on cue, she pointed straight at my cabin and shouted. It was him. Cole Rollins did this. He welded me in. Arrest him. But see, I had my alibi. Campground receipts. Time-stamped photos. Even a friendly park ranger who'd seen me catching trout at sunrise. When the cops questioned me, I played it calm. I just got back, I said, unloading my gear. Did something happen? They didn't have a thing on me. No fingerprints, no video. No motive anyone would believe except Meredith. That's when Ms. Langley, God bless her, handed the lead officer a folder. Found this in my old HOA files, she said. Might be relevant. Inside? A letter from Meredith's former HOA, documenting her history of harassment, parking violations, false reports. Suddenly, I wasn't a suspect. I was a survivor. And Meredith? She was just a woman with a long pattern of weaponizing community rules to bully anyone she didn't control. Within a week, a big fat for sale sign showed up in front of her cabin. The last time I saw her, she was packing up her Escalade, her face stiff with fury. No one waved goodbye. No one even looked up. She drove off like a fallen queen exiled from her own court. You know the best part? That handmade no parking sign I'd bolted to a tree out front. It disappeared. Not because anyone took it, but because no one needed it anymore. These days, I sit on my porch with a cup of black coffee and nothing but silence around me. Sometimes, the new neighbors, a young couple with twin girls, invite me over for s'mores. They park in their own spot. They wave. They ask before borrowing the kayak. And me? I finally breathe again. But here's the thing, was I wrong? I didn't hurt her. I didn't damage her property. I just gave her a little taste of the prison she'd been building around me for months. Justice doesn't always wear a badge or hold a gavel. Sometimes it wears welding gloves and holds a steady arc. So now I ask you, if someone backed you into a corner like that, would you fight back? Tell me in the comments. What would you have done? Did I go too far or just far enough? Because if you ask me, some boundaries, they need to be built from steel. And if you like stories where karma comes with a blowtorch, stick around, because the next one, oh, it's even better.